America, and the globe. I'm here with my good friends, Peyton and Omar of HeyDitto.ai. This is going to be a fun one. Every Thursday, we hold this big tensor stream. Oh my God, I screwed up the stream name again. I have it as the Ditto stream. We're going to have the Ditto stream, and then I'm going to end the stream, and I'm going to start the zip code stream. And we're going to call it Weekly Recap. Oh my God, so embarrassing.
No worries.
But regardless, this is the Ditto stream. We are here to talk about this week's work, what is to come with V2, and I'm going to give the floor to Peyton, and we're going to talk about some mining that is live. And mind you, as you watch this is going to be put into written format tomorrow, likely before noon, hopefully before 10 Eastern time, and you will not only be able to, just watch this mindlessly, but then you'll have the written format to give to your agents or whatever the case may be, or read if people still do that. But that being said, Peyton, let's fill up that context window with some good shit.
What up, Sebi? Thank you for the system prompt and welcome to the context window portion of the Ditto stream. I love the agent human analogy. Here at Ditto, we always remember we are accessibility first. And in today's day and age, that means agents and people. You got to be accessible to both.
Peyton's CEO and
beautiful
HR.
Wife for the coffee. Shout out Romany for the coffee.
Shout out Romany.
Shout out Romany. So yeah. So as I said, we're always agent and people first. So written copy tomorrow is going to be great for all of our agents polling X. So let's just get into the big news. Team shipped the subnet this week. We're up to 4 validators. We have well over 100 mining submissions. We have a leaderboard already. We have a miner submitted agent that is way better than Ditto Team's implementation. So already we've quickly delivered on what we thought was going to happen. And as you can see, even the median score of all of the miners is above the reference score of 0.49. Our top score is sitting on, this is actually sample data, but I can tell you that the top score is in the nearly 90%, so way better than what we've done. And that translates to direct product improvements because we're going to learn from these agents. And the first thing we're going to do is sort of backport improvements over to our system. And then over time, we're going to adopt the code directly. So expect Ditto's memory to get way better as a result of this competition. And yeah, so if you're on our subnet page right now, we are doing infrastructure upgrades. So you're going to see some things down, but the system has been operating really well since then. Yeah. But
my bad, guys.
That's okay, just calling it out. But it's been a touch.
Look, we're down for infra updates.
Yeah, it's all good.
The non-technical guy is shilling the non-technical guy shilling the infra that's being worked on. My bad, guys.
But shout out to the last time I took a glance, harness named Z sitting at a 0.886 or 883, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. We could pull up the weights later, but yep, hats off to them.
We'll have to be validating that very thoroughly.
Yeah, we're going to be reviewing that and learning like what the heck are they doing. And that's the whole point of the subnet is like the code that miners submit. It's going to make its way into the into there. Okay, so
what's something for you guys?
This is called weights and biases.
Yes, this is the full telemetry of our mechanism.
Correct.
And it'll load, but really the one that you should care about is weights, right? What's being set on and submitted. So yeah, if you guys want to go check that out, it's actually back on this screen. It's subnet.heyditto.ai, and you can just go down to full telemetry here. But back to you, Pete.
And as we speak, it looks like we're back, Sebi. So as I said,
exactly.
Oh wait, go back to overview.
There's our Z.
Okay. So the median is above. So our reference score was 0.49, and Z is we just can't load Z right now, but Z scored a 0.88, which is nearly double our score. There's been 135 submissions. and this is the leaderboard right now. And that correlates directly to the weights. So this number one guy gets 90% of the weights, and then I believe it's the next 4 or maybe the next 5 get the rest of the weights. So if you are Peter, Jackie, Cool, Ditto Test, congratulations, you're getting emissions. And the seat to beat is Z. So yeah, so what's
They
coming?
just pulled it on me.
Oh no,
Nick-
live bit unavailable.
Anderson.
Somebody,
Nick Anderson playing
yeah,
with me.
Nick Anderson is actively cooking. What's he doing?
Dude, he's watching the stream and just like turning it on and off.
Oh, we're getting, you know what's happening? The database is we're hammering the database is what's happening. So yeah, that's pretty funny. Okay.
This is building a public out. Like, you guys know this is happening in real time, but here's the thing: you guys know it's there. You can check the weights or the weights and balances,
weights and biases,
and you can run your life.
Yeah, exactly. The results have been
on a whim, just spinning up mining. I didn't look at any submissions, so going in blindly, just like all the miners. I was able to score, throwing the dart. I got a 60%. So, and that was 2 hours of iterating with an agent on just some quick gotchas. So to get to the 70% and to the 80 and scrape 90 did not happen quickly, I'm sure. So someone was definitely spending hours and hours, if not a few, was it even live for a day before that happened? But
so that leads me to say, hey, if we're able to get to like a 90, right, or say a 0.9, how do we get to 0.98 or 0.99, right? And then how do we make it harder?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. That's already
the Gen UI and Gen UX stuff that we've talked about into the toolkit, or into the harness rather.
Absolutely. There's already a lot of talks about Ditto Bench V3 just from this launch already. I don't want to pinpoint one particular major update, but there will be a few considered that can kind of bring those scores down a bit in the future. We're also going to evaluate some of these harness submissions and make sure that some of these scores are quality scores, so to speak, which we built it to where it should be. The things that we're scoring are pretty granular. So to get like if it was a perfect score, that'd be a different thing. But seeing something around the 80th percentile is promising.
Yes, we did catch a couple of 100% scores, and that's the reason we have a screener system. Shout out to some of the miners in communication. Whenever miners ping things, I always rebroadcast them to the public, so there's no insider baseball. Shout out to Carissa, been pointing out. So they pointed out, hey, there's some submissions that took 5 milliseconds and like answered a perfect score. That can't be right. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds completely wrong.
We've reached AGI, everybody.
No, they just completely gamed it. Like, they just kind of like, some miners just kind of reverse engineered the generative benchmark and just figured out how to like reverse out and predict the data, and that's how they scored so fast. They didn't even use an AI, and that's obviously not the point of the competition. So it was easy to, we did a couple of things, and I ended up adding what's called an LLM judge, which we have an AI read each submission and flag for things that might be like basically exploiting the bench, because there's ways you can get a high score, but you're not doing what we want the subnet to do. So I'm happy to say that all of those were shot down. And we've only been improving the screener. The screener is open source, which I'm really proud of. Not everybody's screener is open source, and some people have said you can't do that. You're gonna like be gamed if you have everything open source. And our team was like, watch us, we're gonna, and so, but there's a few more open questions team is working out. We're gonna keep upgrading the incentive mechanism itself. There's an open question where we're deciding on miner code. How do we reveal the miner code? So I think the latest discussion is basically that there will be a time delay and we'd reveal the top miner's code. Thoughts on that, Omar?
I think that's what I'm doing. So yeah, purposely not looking at it. I want to keep iterating.
Well, there is a saying like in BitTensor, it's like fork the last guy, right? The license on it's an MIT license. You're allowed to,
Correct.
like you're
Mhm.
incentivized to, for that matter, and you're only like I think it's good to go in kind of blind, right? Have your fun, like have your test, kind of test yourself. There's that, but then there's now okay, let's go insane, and the let's go insane is let's go see like if Mem Zero or Super Memory or wherever of what's it called? I'm sure people have just taken Hermes. Have you seen any Hermes submissions essentially like just a harness submitted in that like
I want to
forking?
know, like, we haven't even cracked open a single one, but in terms of like, because we've been shipping so fast, so we're kind of like us and our
Yeah.
agents are working together, right?
This
So
week is going to be when we all crack open.
yeah, this week has been a blur, but some of we've seen in the logs like some real improvements to the memory system, like different core improvements. So yeah, I
Give me some examples of like what does memory mean? What memory means? I mean, not everybody's just going to watch this today, and not everybody's going to watch this and have context of all the other episodes that we have of Ditto. So it's like we talk about memory, and everybody's like, "Oh, is memory crashing? And what is happening with memory? And this is memory. How is memory important to an agent, and how has it
for
benefited you
sure.
versus not using memory Ditto?"
Well, I
For
mean,
sure.
it's kind of episodic. So a lot of like brief, like surface level memory implementations are glorified sticky notes where there's just a few things about the user that are persisted, or just a disorganized file system, a bunch of disjoint markdown files like we see like the base memory system in Claude. Now, what Ditto is, it's episodic memory. Every time you send a prompt and response, that is a memory, and we organize that granular level of a conversation. Um, so, what is memory? It's retrieving the right episodic as well as overall overarching themes about said memory. So, if you ask about a specific conversation you had 3 years ago, like give an exact date, right? What did we talk about at 3 p.m. last Christmas? A good memory system will retrieve that episodic memory, that conversation snippet when you talked about that, as well as connect the dots to how that thought has evolved and matured throughout that year since you last asked about it. So exactly, it's a pretty memory is a really big topic, and a lot of people, you know, when designing attention for like the transformer to predict the next token, attention and memory were two concepts that were kind of toyed around with for the philosophy. But I think attention is what we solved. Memory is kind of at this point, inside of an LLM, it's more like primal memories from the hive
Yeah.
mind, so to speak, kind of when you're born. And what we're designing is the actual hippocampus layer, where you know we have memories get created and then mature and evolve and simmer over time.
Yeah, and then nuts and bolts. So when we're using AIs, they have the context window, which is this is how much like text you can send to your AI and for it to respond to you. And as Peyton, Omar, and Sebi are living in life, like the amount of data that we're wading through and swimming through every day, it's in the gigabytes, it's in the terabytes. Experience is so much data. So if I'm talking to an AI and I want it to have like personal context, this little context window, this is the core problem and why people just keep rattling about AI memory is that like my life's experience doesn't fit in that context window. It doesn't fit for any of us. So the reason we need these memory systems is also due to the short context window. The reason the context window is short is due to, so Omar just mentioned attention, and that's kind of the core mechanism or architecture for how an LLM works. But it ended up having like kind of a scaling issue that you could get up to a certain number of text, but if you started going larger, the compute cost goes up exponentially. So there's this hardware limit of this is how much stuff an AI can keep in its memory while it's working. So our job is,
so the context window is basically working memory.
it's working memory, and that's actually all that the LLM has. That's all your AI only has working memory. So
Exactly.
how do you give it a long-term memory, but in a working memory? It's like, imagine I didn't have a long-term memory. You would have
Down
to
to the
basically,
dreaming.
sorry?
memories implemented detailed even down to the memories or and the dreams.
Dreaming, right. So what we do is like, Ditto is like simulated hippocampus, simulated long-term memory. We are populating that. We have this very small context window we can work with whenever you're talking to an AI. So we're trying to populate that with the most rich and useful information from your past conversation history, the most rich stuff that we can, so that Ditto feels like, hey, this guy really remembers you. Because as we said, we can't put your entire life in the context window. The window's too small. What we can do is carefully craft that context in the system prompt to be ideal for you, ideal for your situation. And another thing is, because we're incentivized to keep this text as small as possible, because that makes the cost cheaper for you. We have to, like, this is a trade-off. Oh, my AI remembers more about me, but it's costing me more money because it's more tokens in. The context is more. So that is the core problem we're trying to solve every day, is like, how do we get our AIs to feel really personal, remember me, fine-tuned for Peyton, fine-tuned for Omar, but how do I not do it and blow my own budget? How do I do that with a cheap model and with like as little tokens as possible? That's why we're here, and that's why the subnet helps a lot, because these are engineering problems. So yeah.
I would even say that it's also about how you guys have packaged it. I saw a post, I think it was yesterday, from Mark over at Stillcore Capital, and he's
Yes.
talking about how he's using Ditto in this, like, basically the shared memory. And what's cool to me is, like, you can go and, like, there's almost no loyalty in AI. It's kind of like the joke, like the meme of the product, where everyone's like using them all and using none at the same time. You're like,
We play into that. Mm-hmm.
right. So it's like, hey, we allow you to go and test everything out, but the constant will always be Ditto. And
Right.
if that can be, if our MCP is essentially enabling that context window optimization, and if on our platform context window optimization, front end optimization, and all these other things, as we have more control of the harness and not just MCP, this seems to be something that, it's like a power that is, composable or emergent for the user.
It is. It's like a primitive, it's like the day that Dropbox came out and I stopped having to bring this flash drive around to share files with my friends. And that's kind of part of this Ditto moment, but it's the Ditto moment for Mark Jeffrey right here, where he had his OpenClaw with his Opus. And there's a lot of people out there that have a bespoke OpenClaw setup that's running on a Mac Mini in the corner, or it's in a DigitalOcean account they're paying for. And, props to all those people, but do you have a backup of your memory? Do you have a nice backup of your claw? And do you have the ability for your next agent to just be onboarded in 1 second, almost like a, cloud backup and restore? And as you're seeing from Mark's post, it's not just OpenClaw to OpenClaw, it's OpenClaw migrating to Hermes, and Ditto helped him do that. So when you're changing your backends around, like, Ditto is still there for you. So we love that. We think all that's cool, but we should have probably also mentioned that given a lot of the V2 things that are coming from Ditto V2, you're going to start to not really need OpenClaw or Hermes, because that's all like getting baked into our own platform. Omar, you want to talk more about some of those crazy features coming?
Well, let's articulate what their offering is, right?
Yeah.
And then I think we can, then Omar, go right into that.
Let's do it.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, what they're offering today, what is OpenClaw and Hermes? They offer an agent experience that I think people were expecting the whole time. That when people think about AIs, and when original ChatGPT came out, and then a couple things, it's like, it was amazing, but it also was shy of people's expectations. It's kind of like when Siri came out, and then you're really disappointed that Siri can't like actually do things on your behalf. ChatGPT had the same problem. Claude had the same problem. It got better over time as they worked on computer use, but that was still just shaky and like developer-y and etc. Then there was even some crypto experiments that came around, like Eliza OS, that kind of proved out, hey, what if we gave the AI more tools? So there were the like whisperings of these things, and then OpenClaw really completely popularized it and just made this idea blow up. And OpenClaw was made by Peter Steinberger, a genius who came back from, he made this crazy PDF library that everybody buys and uses, like the world's best PDF library. This dude's a crack developer. And then he himself built like 100 different little SASs. And that's kind of what became OpenClaw, and why it's so big and bulky is like, it's the culmination of everything Peter did thrown into a single agent. And that's why it has the name Claw, because the AI that we're talking about, like, it is really just like a text processor, text in and text out. Well, guess what? That can't actually do anything. So OpenClaw is the claws that turn the text from the agent, or from the text from the AI, turns it into actual real world activity. So now my AI can send emails. Now my AI can read my iMessage. So OpenClaw, I think OpenClaw was kind of the Siri moment, the real Siri people were hoping for. And by the way, it supported iMessage. So that made OpenClaw extremely popular. That, wow, like I can set up OpenClaw on my Mac Mini. Now it's using my Apple Notes. It's using my iMessage, my Telegram. It was delivering on the promise of what people were thinking AI would be, but there were problems. And we've all heard the OpenClaw horror stories that like it can do some dangerous destructive actions on accident, etc. But anyways, to Sebi's question, OpenClaw and Hermes offer action-oriented AI that can actually do stuff in your SaaS tools, your personal apps you have, like your Google Drive, your services. It can do things on behalf of you with your services. It can write code, and it can essentially like operate a business for you. A lot of people have figured out that, hey, I can kind of, this is my business partner, right? That's all the capabilities packaged up. It's an agent plus all your services, all your apps, all your connections, sort of like a Jarvis for your life. I hope that kind of explains what Hermes and OpenClaw give to you.
Yeah,
So,
it seems like the thing that the human interacts with, right? And I've used it before, but it's the thing that the human interacts with. And by interacting with Hermes, you're able to basically own the code base that is making this model special, or any model special, right? By connecting to like OpenRouter or even a Shoots API key. So
Yeah.
it's inference model plus this harness is the equation of the user experience. Now, something that we're going to try to talk about later, I'm pushing Ken to show up later so that we can do a live session of like the next episode of the video series we started about intelligence, and talk about this relationship of how zip code, or not Ditto is a completely structural, it's completely different structurally than Noose Research and Hermes, whatever it's called. So I think that's very important that people don't understand, right? Because anyone can own Ditto, and anyone can host Ditto V2, and which we'll talk about now that we've articulated this. I think that is important for people and the agents to understand about our mission here. So without any other delays, let's get into Ditto V2, Omar.
Yes. So there's a lot to talk about in V2, but the most recent stuff I'm excited about from recent development is this notion of Ditto being the, double tapping more on Ditto as an orchestrator. Because Ditto is an orchestrator. Ditto will sit on top of things that you have already spun up in your lives. So kind of how Peyton said, we play into this theme of, we get that you're spread out everywhere. We get that you have agents living everywhere. Ditto can essentially live on top of all of these agents. And
Oh, 1 second.
oh, my bad, trying to share.
No, you're good.
Oh, mirror.
We got
Okay.
you.
So yeah, single screen in it today. But really cool feature I'm excited about, as you can see here at the top, Ditto code executed with Claude code. And this is a new feature that's going to be shipping out in V2. But
Harness? Question mark?
Yes, harness.
So inside of settings in Ditto code, when this feature lands in V2, we will have you able to select and configure from Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, or Anti-Gravity, and we will be adding more as we find more providers. But these are you click configure.
Sonic coming soon, right?
Some of y'all already have bring your own key, so I piggybacked off of this system. If you already have OpenAI or Google AI Studio configured, you will automatically get access to that provider's programming harness in the cloud.
Right. Sick. Does that run in our cloud?
Yes, runs in our cloud.
Okay. Understood.
There are also ways to run in their cloud, because Cursor as well as Anti-Gravity have their own managed cloud for really fast executions. So we could also allow the user to configure which cloud it runs in. And then desktop app is where all of this is local, but that's another feature.
Yeah, that's
the desktop app. Is that an experience going to be like I remember with Paperclip, I had a website. It was a web experience, but I can go to a live link and I could run it. And in other cases, I've had to use the terminal, right? And in other cases, I have like an application like Claude desktop, right? Super clean. It's just like right there in its own thing. What do you see as that form factor for V2 desktop local? Because to me, the ideal case is give somebody a web link and have it running on their computer.
Yeah, I could share my opinion on this and love to hear Omar's thoughts. So I like Codex app's implementation of this, that I have a MacBook and a Mac Mini. I have Codex app installed on both of them, and I configured this remote control thing where I can kind of leave Codex open. And even if my Mac is locked, it is even able to still control it then. And then I have the ChatGPT app on my phone. I just hit remote, and then I can remote control like all those threads and my computer, my browser, etc. So it would be really sick for us to do that. That basically, when you set up Ditto, you kind of have like an internal network, like a Tailscale network that is like your Ditto machines, and then you should be able to control them from the web interface and all this stuff. We'll do it securely. Ditto account optional, but Ditto account like supercharges the experience. Omar?
Yeah, I agree. So it goes back to another point that I've been hitting on 3 times now, but your agents are everywhere, but also from a programming perspective, your computers are everywhere, and we have multiple development environments. We have, our cloud, things that we're comfortable doing in the cloud, things that we, want more hands-on steering, so we do it locally. So Ditto code inside of the Ditto desktop app should be an experience where you can go fully remote, execute locally. You can execute locally, drive locally, execute on the cloud, drive on the cloud, right? So again, with a Ditto account, that'll be a lot more seamless, but we should be able to simply offer what we have here as a native desktop app to run locally on your computer. So that's really exciting product.
Yes. So the idea would be you could download Ditto for desktop, and I'm really interested in the idea of piggybacking on Claude and OpenAI subscriptions because people already have them.
Yes.
So let's say you open Ditto desktop, it will auto detect, oh, this person has Codex and Claude, and it knows that you can literally delegate inference to those two locally without, like, you just detect they're signed in and you delegate prompts to them. So
exactly.
and it doesn't have to code. It can be a chat experience. Bam. So now we have local chat. Because of the minor work and stuff, we're going to have basically the Ditto memory system will be local. So you can So you download Ditto Desktop. You can start chatting with Ditto straight away, saving your memories locally, working on code locally. It'll be aware of any coding agents you have installed. And then when you say, well, now I want a backup of this, you'd have the option to bring your Hippias bucket, back it up, and that's still not even with the Ditto account. You could just add your Hippias bucket, and we'll support that. Ditto Desktop, Hippias, boom. If you really want the first party experience, if you want the cloud sync and the orchestration, then you would sign in with a Ditto account. That's what I'd recommend for our flow. And then bam, now you're connected to Ditto Web, and this makes Ditto Web even more powerful.
Wait a minute. So somebody could really just come in with a Hippias key and a free account, and just like with Ditto Desktop, and just like log in with the Hippias key, and then they just have a code base they're running it, or a Hippias key and an inference key, right? And then you just log in with those two, and you don't. There's no. You don't have to pay Ditto anything. You might not get any storage, right? Because it's all the storage on your computer.
Everything you're paying for, right?
Yeah,
but yeah, you don't have to pay us in that configuration, right?
Wow.
Yeah, this is possible.
Yeah,
I feel like that's going to be like the self-hosting Mac Mini owning people and what they do, because that just makes sense. And then they'll get pilled by the Ditto app, and they'll do different things on the web experience because they'll want their username and to be able to collaborate with files.
They want to share files.
They want to share files, but they might want another account. So there is one thing that's very interesting in Ditto is you can toggle between different accounts from your account. So you can have these relationships, and then also you can separate between life and work, or many organizations or friend groups, right? Or communities for that matter. And then the also breakdown, I think I posted about it, was secrets. Sorry, Omar. But I was trying to remember that was the next breakdown is then of access is then secrets. So when you put it all together, it's like I can go end to end, and I can have the access in the way that I want, in the place that I want. And that's what I've been kind of fishing for. It's like, hey, what is this going to look like? What is this going to feel like? Are you going to get the Hermes experience that you just like own it? It's on your MacBook. They'd have to rip this thing out of my hands to get it from me, right? Except it just presses a button and it's gone. Right? Yep. Okay.
I was going to say the other big thing, I'll leave it here as well with V2, is chats. Ditto. Internally, we have a Ditto agent in our Slack. It's great. Has memories from our company, knowledge graphs. But in V2, another big thing that's going to be rolled out is chat integrations. So Ditto will be able to read, at minimum, read-only access to every major chat app, as well as live inside supported chat apps like Discord and Slack and others like that. So super stoked for that one as well, because that's where your team will seamlessly be able to integrate their memories and their personal Dittos into their company Ditto without having to leave like Slack, so to speak.
Right. We're testing Slack internally, and I'm happy that I think our Slack agent's like the fastest Slack agent I've ever tried. So it's like this.
It's very fast.
Mm-hmm. It's insane. Like I press send, and it's like, this is what you just told everybody. I'm like, all right, dude, leave me alone.
Yep. We have the permission to put Ditto in the BitTensor miner channel, so we're also going to do that. So dog fooding all of our integrations. We have a Ditto company internally now. We have little groups inside of it, so we're dog fooding, and there's still a lot of issues with Ditto company. So we're basically ironing it out, and whenever we do a business process now, we always ask ourselves, can we do this with Ditto? And we try our darndest to do it with Ditto. That's where we're going.
I love that. Yeah, and as we make progress on the design side of V2, what does this product look like on mobile? How does it look like on desktop when you click buttons? What are the animations? What is the soul of this product? I think it's turning into something special, especially after some updates today, some inspiration we found today. And we just got to keep going. But I want to continue with you, Omar, on infrastructure changes that are going into V2. That was, you were excited about that today. I want to give you time to discuss it.
Yes. Yeah, no. Some infrastructure changes as far as like features, or are you talking more like improvements that were
So the big thing was Beeper. If you guys don't know what Beeper is all of your messages in one place, right? This
That's
was
basically what I was just hinting at
right.
on the past anecdote. But yes, if you've heard of Beeper and Matrix, it was a protocol, right before the AI boom. Perfect timing, actually, but it's basically a decentralized encryption schema for and plugging in and communicating with multiple chat apps. I personally use Beeper. It's great. I have all my, Discord, Slack, Telegram, Signal all in one place, and it's encrypted and secure. And sitting on a Beeper account for a few years now, I mean, my brain immediately just said, hey, why isn't Ditto able to read all of this shit, right? So funny enough, Beeper has an MCP server, so a lot of integrations are possible. So you can go in settings in Beeper and turn it on. You can paste it in your Ditto. Great. That's not enough. What if, with the user's permission, you could triage, certain threads? Slack's a good starter, but why not Slack, Discord, and Telegram, and a few other chat apps? We're definitely going to go for a read-only approach at first, just for safety concerns. And even that, we're going to have to roll out very carefully.
Right.
And it's basically going to give you the ability to create a Ditto agent with whatever context it wants to have, or you want it to have, based on, universes that might only exist on Discord or Slack, or insert other app that gets very deep with group chats. So
Yeah,
again, a good dog fooding feature for us too is, having the ability to read from all these chat apps, and as a company, put together, literally every communication source that we have. Nothing can go off script, so to speak, unless you want it to.
Yeah, I mean, because our communications are still spread across Slack, Discord, and Telegram, and there's no changing that. That is a constant. So all of us are literally switching across 3 apps. As soon as we bring that into Ditto, that's incredible. And I figure, Omar, we talked about like using Beeper MCP, or I think we settled on just re-implementing it ourselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, Beeper is more for human-to-human communication. I think we need something that's more for human, or agent, or agent, right?
Right.
So because there's going to be a Ditto agent inside of Slack, right? So if your Ditto app is reading and trying to, make sense, it's going to have some, way of consuming agent messages and histories, knowing like, oh, an instance of me was inside of here talking about stuff. Let's make sure that we're on the same page memory wise. So there's going to be stuff like that is going to inherently come up. So Beeper, again, like I said, it's great for users right now. If you want to bridge, make your Ditto aware of everything, download.
Right.
Beeper,
connect it today.
You can connect Beeper with Ditto already?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, they have an MCP server. What's up?
Is it an OAuth MCP? It probably is.
There might be something we have to support for like their full remote.
Yeah,
but we can look into. But yes,
we'll follow up on that.
We'll follow up on that. But in theory, they have an MCP server. I've hooked up many MCP servers into Ditto, like the GitHub one before we added it natively.
Right.
But they have a server, yes. So
yeah.
An agent can read all your messages, and it works with OpenClaw as well.
So there's some things that, like, before we have an official integration for it, if you're really Ditto savvy, you can go to the MCP section and hook it up yourself. And we are going to add support for more types of MCPs. I know one of our users wants to hook up Descript to Ditto, which I think is a great idea. So we're going to add. No, it is us. But there's another person.
A user. It's Peyton.
A user. No, another one in the community. Another person in the community. I think Koi Pond. They want Descript. All we it's just one thing we have to add support for. It's not too bad. We just have to add OAuth. Anyways,
That's great. It's great for us too. We were just
Mhm.
complaining about the having to like go in and like clip all this stuff and spend the time when now you have to go help miners be miners and submit to the network. So,
On the grind,
oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Um,
So I just got something while we were in here. I don't know if you guys were looking in Discord, but we are scheduled for next week's novelty search.
we are scheduled for next week's novelty
Lovely.
search.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So that's
incredible.
gonna be really cool. Unfortunately, it won't be by the time we get the rebrand completely like built into the product. But what I will make sure is we have some screens that we can show and some prototype experiences. And
Yep.
and we'll also have another episode of a follow up from our mini documentary ready by Thursday as well on Ditto and what it means in the context of the evolutions of the AI race and sovereignty. Right now we are in a place, we are in the in between stage of the world, knowing about the early part of the in between stage of changing from OpenClaw and Hermes to Dittos, right? And really owning your intelligence, right? We started at OpenAI, then Anthropic came and they were kind of in the same boat. Now we have OpenClaw Hermes, and now this new
Now we
breed
have
is
multiplayer. Yeah. So like like structurally we have like people in our system, like us three. We have agents in our system. We have groups, which is a group. You can be part of a group as an agent or a person. Groups are kind of the native like structure everybody's going to live in. So think about like a group chat in Telegram, but with an entire shared Google Drive and like an agent harness built in. That's what Ditto groups feel like. And then if you're an organization, you'll have like a Ditto company or a Ditto org. The org can own multiple groups. So that's how you'll organize. Like, let's say you have a company with 100 people, you're going to have various groups and subgroups in there. Each of them has agents. Yeah. And so like in that system, I can have my QA agent will be part of the engineering group, part of the product group, part of the sales group. So like each agent will be able to see exactly what it has. And then also the last piece that brings it together is, well, my QA agent has a Discord connection and a Slack connection. And when you get there, we're going to support the ability to, there's an official Ditto bot that you can invite to your Slack, but also the ability to make custom bots. So let's say I want to make a support bot called Harry. I can name a bot Harry and then put my keys into Ditto secrets and now connect kind of a two-way thing. Now my Ditto agent that lives in Ditto named Harry, he now lives in Discord, lives in Slack, and lives in whatever Telegram channels. So these are all, you could almost call those external groups that my Ditto lives in. That's how it all kind of plays together. So you're actually probably going to have like many agents, when your company is in different chats, like you'll have purpose-built agents that live in those spaces and help your company operate.
Yep.
Right. You have one company Ditto, and then that company Ditto is where everything is happening, and everything essentially becomes the marketing division, the development division, the sales division, and each division has its own Ditto.
Yes.
Right? And then at the bottom, each user has their own personal and work Dittos. So you have user-based or employee Dittos, divisional Dittos, and then organizational Ditto.
Exactly.
And the special ones are when you get to toggle from life and work, and the less you can do stuff, the less you have to think, oh, am I in my personal or my division? Just stay in the main company Ditto or your personal Ditto, and it will just do it. And it will ask you, I'm sending it in this regard. I'm sending it in this regard.
Yep.
What do you think? So that to me is truly exciting.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to be really cool. I'm very inspired by Notion, Google, Slack. All of these apps have an account switcher because they know that, hey, this is useful for work and life. So that's how we're looking at it too.
Yep.
Right on. I think we're all getting blown up in the same chat.
I think we are too.
I think it's just our miners and novelty search.
Yeah, it is. No, these are good problems to have, guys. They're not actually problems. They're like the biggest blessings because at the end of the day, it's a bear market it's as bearish as bears get, and it feels like and we have had hiccups. Let's just say that, but well, we had only had one hiccup, but on this trajectory, we are poised to continue to compound on the fact that our biggest growth vector is referrals. The fact that people love the product, and then you have people like Mark Jeffrey saying, "Did you guys know you could even do this with AIs? You can just like kind of like swap them out, or you can go try that new thing with the context of your Hermes system. Go do it. Like it'll actually allow you to shit test products."
And we've got to talk about Ditto agencies.
Okay. This is something that gets really, really exciting for me because I used to, run an agency, but many of them. But Peyton, please go ahead. This is cool.
Yeah. This is materializing, and basically we met with somebody that is doing AI transformation as a business, and there are lots of consultants out there and people that are scrappy, and they're helping companies get on board with AI and improve their there's this massive middle untapped market, like so many places where like it's boots on the ground to integrate AI in all these places, and it takes people working hard, and those are the agencies, those are the people that are on the ground like actually changing business. So like Sebi mentioned, he used to do social media marketing, which is similar. And there is a tool called Go High Level, and there were other tools that let you run an agency, but it was like a platform for doing that. So we see Ditto as a platform for you to run an AI transformation agency. And the way that works concretely, you will get to like white label Ditto, brand it yourself, and essentially resell Ditto to businesses. And Ditto is this core that we're making infinitely customizable. So our goal would be that our platform can just like malleable, like it can morph itself to what your agency needs. So now an agency has onboarded 5 different companies. They've put Ditto into these company systems, and they're essentially helping us close sales. They're increasing our revenue. We're giving them a cut because they're doing a fantastic job. And that's the referral we're talking about. So there's referral to people. There's also referral as an agency to businesses, enterprises, people that we would not have been able to reach ourselves, things that require handshakes and 7 Google Meets and to close these deals. So I just think it's a huge growth lever for us, and we're here to support anybody that wants to run an agency. There's already people in our community that are actively doing that.
Yeah, I think Token Wholesaler is going. And by the way, can we please get those Discords muted?
Yes.
Thank you. But yeah, to the point of agencies, there is an amazing case study for this in what is called School Games, SKOOL. If you are in any sort of marketing algorithm at all, business algorithm at all, on Instagram especially, or LinkedIn, you saw this. And it was Alex Hermosi invested in School, the app made by Sam Ovens, a prolific make money online guy, the guy from consulting.com. So school.com allows you to create a community and then sell files, sell videos, sell images. You could literally run an OnlyFans on School probably. That said, what they did was something called School Games, where they made a global competition of businesses coming onto School. What we want to do is agency games, is we want to get agencies to bring businesses onto Ditto and see who can build the best funnels and who could build the best user bases, and give them something like $100,000 at the end of the month and be like, hey, go run your agency, keep all the profit of the usage for the first month, and we'll give you a $100,000 check. Now that's something that's exciting when you see on an Instagram ad and it goes for 30 days and it's almost like a movement across the entire AI ecosystem. Everybody is losing their job and everybody can sell AI to the people that just got rid of them. It's like the Uno reverse. Oh yeah, you're gonna fire me? How about this? I'll make you better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super valid, man. At the end of the day, like we're trying to offer empowerment to people where we can, you know?
Right. But the big thing is that token wholesaler is essentially what Chamath is doing at 8090. They're getting these enterprises. They have this harness, this ability to create a harness, probably an Hermes fork or an
Yeah.
OpenClaw fork with some security,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's what they do. But in our case, we want to give you the place where you can actually have your own application if you would like. You could either sell direct Ditto or you can sell your own application, whatever that may be. Maybe it takes out all of the chat features and it's like a gaming, you rip everything out of Ditto and just make it work for gaming. I don't know what that is, but we want to make it so that businesses can make whatever they want on Ditto. If it's a file, an app, an image, and you can host it, you can serve it. And given it's not horrible things that I will leave unsaid, then we are totally good to go.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the most exciting thing to me, or it's the education part. Most people don't know this, but one of the things I did when I got some success with my first software company was I started coaching
Nice.
basketball, like middle school basketball, and like I just loved it, right? Because it was like I was one of those kids before, and like those years changed my life to be like the leader I am today. So I say that to say when I saw Claude go or Anthropic offer free credits to schools, after last week we ended the week talking about, hey, I would love to make a program for distribution means is not only do like the Ditto games, but let's go Ditto education, and let's give schools access to these open models for a fraction of the cost. Because the free money will eventually end from Claude. It always does.
Sure.
But we can give them something that is long lasting in an almost like an intimate, true curriculum. Did you guys see that article from or that push from Anthropic?
Yeah, it's smart. I mean, when you get to a certain size as a company, like you naturally have to go into education. So it's a good move on their side. And yeah, I think it's personalized education is where we need to go. I mean, we all went through school and it's just kind of a like one size fits all education. You get a couple of like false choices, a couple of electives you can pick, but we all know like young people's aptitudes are getting wasted. They're like going down just like cookie cutter path. Works for some kids, they go to be scientists, but the vast majority of people that have talents, like how do we enhance those talents and direct them? And a memory system like Ditto, like yeah, when we design it right, and we would put out a system specifically designed for education that would be much more attuned to that. We would get it audited, we'd get it looked through by, we would talk to educators to learn more as well, get this stuff right, talk to Montessori schools, whatever. And then, pilot this thing out. Like we could even start with homeschooled children to like, one group at a time, like parents that are looking for an alternative. Like we offer, this is something, a supplemental
That's
thing.
actually so based. That's a great
You
idea.
know?
That
Yeah.
is so based.
Absolutely. You start there and like we make sure it's airtight. And I mean, heck, I have a daughter on the way. So like, we've got like a test candidate here, but we'll make it amazing. It will be like personalized learning. And Omar, we've actually talked about learning a lot in our past before.
We have.
Like,
We've definitely talked about it. It comes up at every stage of Ditto. We've talked about it at least once.
I think, Omar, at one point you had the idea of just like generating college courses, like personalized
curriculums. Selling courses that come with an agent, pretty much. This agent learned about said expertise, and now its job is to deliver that to a human or an agent. So agent to agent teaching.
Macroeconomics 101 Ditto, right? It's a Ditto for that basically organization. You basically create this organization in like unlimited thread.
Yeah, course building as an agent, pretty much. So it's like the script for delivering a course, or like the cursor.
To me, it's really important we make that relationship though, because if people can really understand, if I have an endeavor, I can segregate it by dittos, right? Or dittos, then how amazing, right? And really it's you segregate it by ditto, and then you really just have permissions and groups, right? So it's less so of the ditto itself, but more so of like the permissions and who gets to be in the sales chat or the marketing chat. But if at the end of the day everybody sees the main company chat in some capacity as they are contributing to it. So we have a lot coming. I think that we're basically at time. We are, and I forgot, I got my messages from my team. They're saying, hey, you don't have to go live for zip code. You did that yesterday. I forgot I even went live yesterday. I'm kind of going crazy and it's only Thursday. I was like expecting to go crazy like tomorrow at the end of the day, but like it's happening today. So I want to thank you guys. This has been a lot of fun. And also, kudos to you. Ethan, Mr. Big Tensor helper guy. I love Ethan, by the way. We're just joking here. But Ethan went on a trip to like the worst possible time. So Peyton and Nick Anderson were just, and I'm assuming Omar, were just like, boom, like this Slack chat was like
we're hammering this shit.
Oh my God. I was looking at the times and it was like 4:36 Peyton Spencer.
Peyton did not sleep.
No.
even the miners recognized that. They were like, this owner is not sleeping. And then also like our validator version is already like v0.9.4. Like it's been a few days and we're at 0.9. Like it feels like 6 months have transpired in a few days.
It's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to cut it here. I'll let you guys say anything to end it off. But other than that, it's peace and love from me.
Yeah. Peace and love, guys. Thank you guys for being along the journey. Thank you guys for riding with us on the rough edges. We're here for you. Like we are ride or die. We're not going anywhere. And keep talking to us. We're here for you. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Ciao.